Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Trekosophy. And as Star Trek's 50th anniversary is right around the corner, there's a lot of exciting news coming out about everybody's favorite franchise and a lot of big changes in the works, so we're going to have to make some changes to our show as well to keep up with the times. Formerly, our technical guru will now be in charge of comic relief. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris McGee.
That's a promotion, right?
Keep telling yourself that. And our philosophy expert has decided to change his major, and so now he will be our expert on fashion and celebrity gossip related to Star Trek. It's Ben McLean.
This season, Dulce and Gabbana give you a new look that will take you to the final frontier.
That's scarily realistic. And I am Bill Allen, a.k.a. the guy in the gold shirt. And this is Trekosophy, the Star Trek philosophy podcast. So, as many of you know, big news came out. Press release, a couple of little photo shots. They've finally announced what they're going to be doing for a new Star Trek series on television.
I'm so excited about this.
It's getting mixed reviews. I think it'll be cool, but there are things about it that worry me.
Yeah,
but,
I should say cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
It's to set up for the 50th. They're going to be bringing back Star Trek to TV. They're giving it to CW. They're not going to put it on CBS. There's rumors CBS will be starting a second show a year later, but for the 50th, the CW, which is for those networks owned by CBS and however they really, I can't follow all the business stuff, but as part of to try to keep drawing in a new young audience and revitalize the fan base, they're giving us a new Star Trek series that's basically going to be the reboot version of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, a lot of people are not happy with the reboots.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what they've done with reboots in the past. I mean, Abrams, anyone?
Yeah, and this is actually going to be one of the guys producing this show is Robert Orci. Near as I can tell, though, there's no talk that he's going to be writing it. He's just producing it, so that's something. But it's going to be more along those lines, which scares a lot of people. Now, Ben, you were not really a fan of the reboot movies, right?
Well, I couldn't see most of Star Trek 2009 because, well, I was just kind of blinded by it, and it was and I was just bumping into things for days afterwards. So
You and me both.
yeah.
All right. Well, the flashing lights distracted those guys, but I saw it. I enjoyed it. There were things I didn't think they should have done.
It wasn't that bad. I'm just.
But
I'm just.
So the new series, they're not going to reuse The Next Generation as a name. They have decided that the next Star Trek series is going to be called, drum roll please. Do we have a drum roll? We don't have a drum roll.
There will be one.
There will be. Okay.
I will.
Star Trek Next.
Oh,
Great.
wow. My symbol fell over.
That actually kind of makes a lot of
It
sense.
sounded a bit like a
The drum roll ends with a rim shot. Yeah. The name is part of what makes me cringe just a little bit about this.
Yeah, it reminds me of Pepsi Next, wasn't it? Or...
Yeah. What was
The
it?
new Coke.
Wasn't
Right.
like the third or fourth Marvel reboot called Marvel Next? Didn't they? Or was that Marvel Now? Marvel Comics. Well, that's what everybody's trying to emulate.
Marvel Now wasn't that bad. Of course, I've only actually read the Deadpool run from it, which was awesome. But
Yeah, but that's part of what's happening here is people are trying to copy that model that Marvel Disney's got where the movies relate to the TV and everything ties together. And a lot of people have said Star Trek deserves to be on TV instead of movies. That's where it shines.
Yeah.
So part of me is wondering if a J.J. Abrams Bad Robot styled series of Star Trek is going to do better with audiences.
Well, I don't know how it could shine more than Star Trek 2009. That would be really physically difficult.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the details of what we know because I can't take any more lens flare jokes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. Who's got the cast list?
I believe I've got it here.
All right. Start us off
got
at
it
the
pulled
top.
up. Top, Jean-Luc Picard. Yes, they are keeping the character names the same, it seems. And the man they've got picked to play Jean-Luc Picard is James McAvoy.
Okay.
Wherever did they get that
I'm
idea from?
unfamiliar with that name.
That's the guy. I know this one. That's the guy who played Professor X in X-Men First Class when they did the old flashback remakes.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen any of the X-Men movies. That's why.
Okay. Well, Patrick Stewart played Professor X in the first 3 X-Men movies, and then when they did the follow-up sequels, James McAvoy played the younger Professor X in the past. I guess I don't know if they're trying for continuity or they're just trying to do a fan service nod to things. But yeah, James McAvoy. Yeah, my wife's making bad noise. She's not happy about a lot of these names.
Well, I mean, I guess these are this list here. This is a definite list, right? This is not just rumors.
Fairly, well, some of these names I'm thinking they might be rumor because I don't know if they can afford some of these people because they've tried to go for some big time star power in this one. Some of these guys, yeah, they're TV workers, so I think they could afford them. But it's looking like at this point this is the cast. And my wife is just shaking her head in disgust. She's not going to watch. She thinks.
Let's get this train wreck a rolling.
All right, so James McAvoy as Jean-Luc Picard.
Right. All right, Riker. They have Neil Grayston.
Who is he?
That also doesn't sound familiar.
Hold on, let me look up IMDb.
I guess I should have that open.
Okay,
as well.
okay. Oh crap! This is a bad idea. This is okay. I recognize this guy. He's the guy who played Fargo on Eureka.
Okay, never seen.
I don't. Yeah, my wife is not thrilled with that choice, as you can hear. She's. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling this one. I mean, I can see James McAvoy as Picard because of the whole Professor X thing. She's hating the whole lineup.
Well, just try to imagine that they get rid of the glasses and they give him a different haircut and they make him look really, really serious, like he just graduated from like the most badass military academy in like the universe.
I mean, he did have occasional badass moments on Eureka. So maybe he can do Riker, but it doesn't really fit him.
Well, nobody likes to get typecast. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that might explain the next pick. I pulled up my list too, so I have it in front of me. And I had to look up some of these names because I don't really know a lot of actors. The next one for Counselor Troy, that's Katie Mixon.
Oh, I don't know that one at all.
I looked her up on IMDb. There's a sitcom on CBS called Mike and Molly. And Katie Mixon is the hot sister who's usually on drugs. She's sort of my wife likes that one. She plays the ditzy girl who's always sleeping around, but occasionally has those rare moments of profound insight and really touches the hearts of the characters.
So hooker with a heart of gold, right?
Yeah, and occasionally like the wisdom of the Dalai Lama.
That sounds exactly like Troy.
I don't know if I'd call Troy a hooker, but okay. But yeah, the whole heart of gold.
Well,
thing,
she's got the MILF look going on at least.
She does. Well, the hooker with the heart of gold stereotype. Yeah, But yeah, I think that'll work.
Okay. Next up, Worf. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly here. Idris Elba.
Yeah, I think that's how
That
you
is it.
say it. And this is the one that makes me wonder if they're actually going to be able to hold on to him. Because this,
Why is he a big name actor? I haven't heard him.
oh
Of
yeah,
course, I haven't been watching a lot of stuff
yeah,
lately. So.
you guys have been watching reruns and nothing else to prep for the show. I'm the slacker that's been watching everything but Star Trek. Shame on me. I'm never prepared for these podcasts. This guy played the base commander in Pacific Rim. And
Oh, right.
there was talk a few months back that when they get rid of Daniel Craig, make him the next James Bond. And that sparked this whole debate because it's like, oh, can you have a black guy play James Bond? But this dude is one of those British actors that are just like super epic in anything they do. My wife likes him. She thinks he's going to make a good Worf.
He's
Oh,
got the physical presence, it looks like.
he's yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if even if you didn't see Pacific Rim, you saw the preview for it, right? Where this dude stands up and he says, "Today we are canceling the apocalypse." And it's the he
Yeah, that
does
guy.
yeah, he does the St. Crispin's Day speech for Pacific Rim.
I don't
And
know. That speech didn't really work for me for some reason.
nobody really does a good St. Crispin's Day speech, but a lot of movies have that moment where they're trying to give the St. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
it just didn't work in that movie is all.
but it wasn't his delivery. It was just not written well, you know.
Well, that and also it's been overused. I mean,
Yeah,
what
well,
was it? What
become a
was it? The
trope.
movie it was in, where he says, "They can never take our freedom." Which movie was that?
Yeah, it was Braveheart.
Right, the Braveheart
Oh,
speech. That's what it was.
IMDb. Idris Elba is also the guy who played Heimdall, the gatekeeper in the Thor movies.
Right. I vaguely remember there being a gatekeeper related guy.
He stands there with a big sword and he sees all and he knows all and he's an awesome dude. So I think that,
Hmm.
but see, the thing is, that's the thing. He's an awesome dude. Are they going to be able to? I mean, is he doing this just because he's actually a Trekkie? I mean, because sometimes you're surprised by that, like when Tyler Perry showed up in the reboot movies because Tyler Perry was a Trekkie. I didn't know Tyler Perry was a Trekkie.
I don't even know who Tyler Perry is.
He does all those Medea comedies and things like that. And he played the Admiral in the new Star Trek movies, the one that was addressing Kirk when he was on trial.
Hmm.
He's
Huh.
he's yeah, Tyler Perry. I mean, he's known for writing and producing and directing comedies. Um, and he turns out to be a Trekkie, and that's why he was in that movie. It wasn't like so. I mean, maybe Idris Elba is a Trekkie, and this is going to be his chance to say, "Hey, I get to be in Star Trek! Woohoo!" Now that
Well, hopefully, we'll be able to get some like interviews now that this information is out there. We'll start hearing from some various media outlets. They'll get some interviews with these people and go straight to the source and ask them what they think.
yeah, and it's going to be interesting to hear what some of these people say. Who's
And
next?
the next person is Dr. Crusher. They've got, okay, this person I do recognize, Felicia Day,
Felicia Day as Dr. Crusher.
Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Now,
Oh yeah, she played opposite uh Neil, what's his name?
Neil Patrick
Grayston.
Harris.
What's his name? Yeah, she played opposite Neil Grayston on Eureka.
yeah,
Oh,
she was in
apparently she was
Eureka,
in that too.
Dr. Horrible sing along blog,
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
the web series The Guild. She even
Mhm.
did this really wretched sci-fi channel movie about Little Red Riding Hood, werewolf hunter.
Huh.
No, she's pretty cool, doing all sorts of stuff all over the place. Um, my wife loves Felicia Day, thinks she's awesome, but when she saw that, it's like, oh, why? Because it's a redhead. She's thinking there's like a typecasting thing going on here. But I mean, I think there kind of has to be. I mean, could you really have a blonde Dr. Crusher and make it work?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
But I think Felicia Day as Dr. Crusher is going to work.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting. She looks a little young to me.
That was something that seems like they'll have to make her look older if she's gonna be doing that.
Well, I mean, it's like I think she's 30 now. She's 30 something now.
Actually,
So
yeah, she is. She's about 34, I think, 35 by the time of this recording here. Yeah, 35.
Oh, right, and they don't actually have a Wesley Crusher
Exactly, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, that
He
was
is.
that was
On this list here, there's no Wesley Crusher, so maybe she's not a mother after all. She's just a really bright doctor.
and then
they can have like Wesley like get like born like in like the third season or something.
Maybe
yeah,
that's
it's
what
like
they'll do.
there's like a plot. We'll get to the plot synopsis later because they have talked about some of the changes they've made to the character backstories. But let's keep going down the character list because this is what people want to
and
know.
then
Who's
what
going
they'll
to be
do?
playing?
Oh, I want to make you a bet though. What they'll do is they'll have like a big like mystery about who the father is of Wesley Crusher. Is it Jack or is it Captain Picard or is it Data?
Oh, they're not going to have it be Data. There's he's not. When he says he's fully functional, that's not what it means. Data is not Wesley's father. That's just you crapping on this. It doesn't have lens flares, but it's got sex robots, right? Can't make fun of lens flares. You're going to make fun of something. Anyway, moving on.
All right, moving on. Speaking of Data, they picked a man I don't recognize again, Johnny Lee Miller.
I recognize him, and I looked him up, and this kind of makes sense in a twisted kind of way. Johnny Lee Miller, I recognize him from Eli Stone. He was a lawyer who got visions from God. It was like a 2-season show, and then it was off the air.
Isn't that like a self-contradictory kind of proposition?
No.
I mean, I thought lawyers were evil, right?
Well, didn't in the Bible didn't God zap a tax collector and Christian hunter and made him?
Oh, you're right. You're right.
He
Matthew was a tax collector. It makes sense now.
Yeah. But no, Johnny Lee Miller also what he is doing. I don't know if he's still doing it. I think they canceled it. Sherlock or Elementary, the CBS version of the Sherlock Holmes story.
Oh, I watch that show every week. Yeah, that guy is awesome.
So it could
maybe
be
he's not as awesome as Cumberbatch, but he's still pretty awesome.
And it could be
maybe he's not as awesome as Basil Rathbone, but he's still pretty awesome.
So he's like the least awesome Sherlock
Holmes. And maybe
Holmes.
He's not quite as awesome as George Scott, but he's still pretty awesome. I'm just going to keep naming Sherlockian actors all day.
I think it was the Sherlock connection they went for because that was Data's holodeck character. He played Sherlock Holmes, and everybody wanted to see more Moriarty. So maybe they'll get whoever played Moriarty on Elementary to play Moriarty in that episode down the road.
Yeah, he could be Lore. That guy who played Moriarty in Sherlock could be Lore on this show.
Well,
that'd be crazy.
But I think
they're
that's
not
why
the same
they did
actor.
It. Yeah, I think that's why they did it.
Well, we're changing the story, though.
Yeah,
changing the story. Remember?
Well,
I mean, it could. I just thinking maybe they did it for the Sherlock connection, because Data was Sherlock and this guy played Sherlock. Now this next one, it smacks of fan service.
Yeah, this one I do recognize as well. Tasha Yar will be played by Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. I'm
sure most of you know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Katie Sackhoff as Tasha Yar. That sounds like a little too much like fan service. Like they're desperately trying to. Oh, look, we've got geek cred. I mean, sure, Felicia Day, Idris Elba. These are all geek related names, but Katie, when you think blonde in sci-fi, you think Katie Sackhoff.
Well, she does. I mean, the 2 shows that I've seen her in anyway, she does play a pretty tough cookie. So I think she could pull it off.
I mean, we should probably say for the listening audience, she was Starbuck in the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah.
But I think everybody knows that. I mean, kind of a well-known.
Well, I didn't. I haven't ever gotten through watching the
most
Battlestar Galactica.
Most people who watch Star Trek are sci-fi fans, and thus most of them
I'm a sci-fi fan.
I did not say all. I said most. You're the exception.
Yeah,
And so,
you're the
so
exception to
most
so many
sci-fi
rules.
fans have seen Battlestar Galactica. In fact, I've seen both the original 1970s version and the reboot. Oh, and the awful 1980 one.
That was just
Anyway.
bad. Let's not talk about 1980.
Let's not go there, please.
Troy and Dylan.
I one of these days I got to catch up with that show. I've never actually gone and watched very much Battlestar Galactica yet.
The reboot miniseries was fantastic. The series wasn't bad, but the ending was horrible.
All right. Well, I got to finish Babylon 5 before I get to that. So.
All right.
Yeah, good.
Next on the list.
Next up, Jack Crusher. Apparently, they're going to make this person a regular on the show. And the actor's name I recognize as well. I'm probably going to butcher the last name, but Alan Tudyk.
That's it, Alan Tudyk.
Tudyk. Okay.
I hope I'm saying it right. This is one of my wife's. This is the reason my wife is a brown coat. Well, that and Nathan Fillion. Alan Tudyk played Wash on Firefly. And if you've seen the Serenity movie, you know what happened to him.
Yes.
Alan Tudyk made
We're not going to go to saying it.
Alan Tudyk made his return to sci-fi TV in the V reboot series. And if you saw the V reboot series, you know what happened to him. Now he's playing freaking Jack Crusher, who's Captain Picard's best friend
/ rival in love.
Does Alan Tudyk's agent have something against him?
I don't know what I'm trying to think if there was ever something he was in where he didn't die.
Well,
so I don't know. I mean, they're saying
being that they've named him as a regular on the show, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Here's something he was in where he didn't die. He was the Duke of Wesselton in Frozen.
He was the Duke of Wesselton in Frozen. He didn't die.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he did do that. He was the voice.
Wow.
He got exiled. He chased off or whatever.
And he was Alistair Cray in Big Hero 6 and King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph. He's in all these kids movies.
He does the silly cartoon voices really well. But anytime he does like sci-fi on TV and a lot of his like non-sci-fi roles, he kind of ends up dead. And
did Wart in Knight's Tale die?
I can't remember. I really don't remember. I think he might have. But anyway, I think that's like hinting at they are going to kill him off. So, I mean, they're trying to set it up like a big surprise. Oh, we're going to kill off a main cast member. But, I mean, I have a feeling they're going to kill off Katie Sackhoff like they did Yar. That's still going to happen. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe they'll change it this time. But
yeah, we don't have any details on that.
And they're introducing Jack Crusher. And in the original backstory for Next Generation, that was how Dr. Crusher and Picard knew each other, was because Captain Picard was friends with Jack Crusher and got killed under Picard's command. And so let's just say I'm not going to be surprised by that particular plot twist. I mean, they're listing him as a main character and they're saying it's a big change. So maybe they're not going to kill him in the first episode, but I don't know how long he's going to live in this series.
Well, let's move on. Interesting that he got a higher billing than the next person here. Geordie LaForge. Okay, someone's going to have to explain this one to me. Apparently, Geordie LaForge is going to be played by Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, this Dave Chappelle as Geordie LaForge strikes me as...
Maybe he just blew the interviewers away during his... what do you call that? The screen test or whatever?
I mean, as a comedian, the dude is clever. He is really smart. Maybe he just doesn't want to get typecast. Maybe he's trying to break out into bigger roles in acting more than just, I'm that crazy black guy.
I certainly hope so. I mean, he's going to have a lot to prove to me. I'll tell you that much.
But, I mean, it's like... I mean, a lot of these guys are known for wacky, silly comedy roles. I mean, Fargo from Eureka, Felicia Day, Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk was comic relief on on Firefly. He was
Hey.
the wacky,
Yeah.
happy-go-lucky pilot type.
Pretty much.
So I'm wondering if they're going to end up turning this into a freaking sitcom.
Oh man. Well, you can kind of see Dave Chappelle playing opposite Johnny Lee Miller to try and do some of that same kind of humor type stuff, trying to introduce Data to humor, you know? Well, that was a
Okay,
big part of
that
TNG.
actually kind of makes sense. If they're going to do the Geordi teaching Data about humor, I mean, it would. I mean, better than casting Joe Piscopo.
Well,
I like Joe Piscopo.
maybe a
Don't get
little
me
bit.
wrong, but as the epic comedian that's going to teach you about humor, they got Joe Piscopo. Really? I mean, I think maybe that'll work.
That's
but I'm
why
still,
it was listed as one of my bottom 5 during last, end of the year episode that we recorded. That episode with Joe Piscopo was listed as one of my bottom 5.
I mean, and I like Joe Piscopo is great. I love I mean, he didn't do a lot of movies, but he was like working on being a pretty decent action star in the 80s.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
I enjoyed his movies. The dude's a good actor for like action type stuff. But I mean, there's so many 20th century comedians you could cast. They could have got Billy Crystal for a day. Isn't Billy Crystal a Star Trek fan?
Maybe they couldn't afford it.
Yeah, that might be it.
I don't know.
But I mean, maybe this is Dave Chappelle trying to become a straight man. Maybe they're going to be playing up to humor, but I don't know, man. It worries me. I like Dave Chappelle. He's funny as hell. Star Trek's not supposed to, I mean, it's supposed to be lighthearted. It's not supposed to be all dark the way where it's all terrorists and the end of the Federation as we know it and the Dominion War. So if they're getting back to more the fun romp through the galaxy, maybe. Who's next on the list? That's it, isn't it?
No, not quite. Let's see. Next on the list is they got Guinan already cast here, apparently, maybe, and that is Audra McDonald, another name I'm not familiar with.
I wasn't familiar with this one either. Audra McDonald as Guinan, I had to look it up, and she was on Private Practice, and that's one of the shows my wife liked. She was like the head doctor who ran the private practice, part owner.
Uh-huh.
That was a big time medical drama, and it was a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. I mean, I don't know why they didn't just get Whoopi back. I mean, it's not like Guinan has to do like a whole lot. She shows up, says a couple of lines.
Maybe they can't afford her anymore.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Some of these names on here, though, I mean, if you can afford Idris Elba, you can. I shouldn't say that. It sounds mean to Whoopi Goldberg because I mean, Whoopi Goldberg's pretty like epic, awesome too. But she's got like 65 things going on. Whoopi's going to be the next like queen of everything. Doesn't she have?
Well,
I mean, I could see. What? I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Ben. What is it?
well, I was going to say I saw Audra McDonald play the Reverend Mother in the Sound of Music live recent TV movie version of the Sound of Music. And it's really weird because they're in the middle of Nazi Germany, but they have as the leader who's in charge of this huge abbey is this black lady, right? In the middle of Nazi Germany. It made no sense. But apart from the fact that, you know, it made no sense historically to have a black lady in that role, she actually did a pretty good job in the role if you can just get past that total historical inaccuracy.
Well, I've always had trouble seeing Sound of Music as being historically accurate in any sense of the world. I mean, I'm sorry, Singing, Dancing Nazis, that's right up there with History of the World Part 2, Hitler on Ice.
Well, the Nazis don't. Well, okay, that one Nazi kid sings. That one Nazi kid sings, but I mean, it's a musical. That's how musicals are.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it. Sound of Music was a sappy Disney musical, so it's like
Nazis
it was Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's one of the finest musicals ever written.
It's still a musical. They're not going to have like.
It is.
I mean, they take gruesome, horrible things in musicals and make them not quite as gruesome and horrible. They water everything down because it's about the songs and about the feel good. It's not about the Inquisition. What a show, the Inquisition. It's time to go.
I don't think Sound of Music is watered down at all.
Let's get off of that
All right,
now,
we're
please.
getting off topic a little bit, but I
At any
don't
rate,
know.
as long as she can play the kind of wise old grandmotherly person with an air of mystery about her and so forth, then I'm okay with it.
Well, when they gave her the private practice spinoff, they basically took one character or like two characters from an ensemble cast in Grey's Anatomy and gave them their own show and then added some more people. But she was one of the ones they built the show around. So, I mean, she does the whole
well, that's
dramatic
good.
thing better. And
Maybe
that
she'll
part,
be the next Whoopi or something.
yeah, I mean, it could be. She is, yeah, she could do it. She's got chops. She's got talent.
Okay, well, I'll have to
All
check
right.
out some of the stuff she's in. And lastly, last character that's been announced here is, believe it or not, Q. Hope I don't know if it's going to be just a recurring character or a cast member or not, but the interesting choice, the actor to play Q, is Will Wheaton.
And I like the idea of Will Wheaton as Q. Everybody else hates it. My wife really hates it. But I've been saying this for a while because
I'm surprised because, I mean, he's the one actor on this list that actually played in the original Star Trek The Next Generation.
yeah, but he's also the one actor that people tended to dump on the most as not liking him when he was Wesley.
True.
And the thing is, his personality now, because he does that whole snarky, wisecracking, I mock everyone kind of thing now. He's like got the tude. I think he could.
Yeah, he kind of does.
To be snarky to the crew, I think he'd make a good Q. I've been saying for a while they should make Will Wheaton Q. So I'm like, haha, told you so. I get to pick Trek better than anybody else. But yes, dear, I'm being an ass. But you know what? I don't get to be right very often. Let me savor this one.
Right. Well, I was actually I'm disappointed that they don't hire Keegan Delancey to do Q related things. I would have cast Keegan Delancey, and that way, he actually wouldn't be there as Little Q, or at least not directly as Little Q. He'd be there playing his father's role, which would be really interesting and different.
It would be neat if they did work in some cameos from old stars. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing. I'd rather see John Delancey, but you know who I really think they need to figure out a way to work in somehow. They've got to get Jeffrey Combs, and they didn't put him in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. That name is drawing a blank for some reason.
He played Weyoun on Deep Space Nine.
Weyoun.
Oh, yeah.
He played
he's in a ton of stuff. Yep. He's in like every movie ever practically. Yeah. I mean, that guy is in everything.
He played Shran on Enterprise, and that was my favorite character on Enterprise. Shran was awesome. He did Reanimator. He did From Beyond. He did a couple of those weird Lovecraft 80s films.
And he was the voice of his awesome villain in the DC Comics movies. What was his name again? I'm sorry.
Jeffrey Combs. Coombs.
I thought it was just Combs, like Combs.
Is it 1 O or is it 2 O's?
Yeah, it's just 1 O.
Well, that's why I can.
But everyone calls him Jeffrey Combs. It's kind of like
George Takei.
That
he was on Babylon 5 also.
Yes, he played one character on that. I think he was in one episode.
He was Scarecrow on the new Batman Adventures. That was it.
He was
Scarecrow. Excellent job on that voice.
He was Dr. Strange.
Palomini, that's what I was thinking of.
He was Dr. Strange back in the 80s in the live action version that turned out to not be called Dr. Strange because there was some weird naming rights.
Oh, and he was the Question in Justice League. And that is the voice I always think of whenever anybody talks about the Question. He's like, you know how Mark Hamill is the Joker?
Yeah.
This guy is the Question.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Combs is like a phenomenal actor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can dedicate an entire episode talking about Jeffrey Combs and all the parts he played,
and we probably should. We'll have to
how
add
much
that to
he
the
needs
list.
to how much he needs to play every part in this new series. For all.
But I mean, I get they're not gonna do. They're trying to do the reboot, but I mean, They got Will Wheaton in this reboot as Q. They got Leonard Nimoy as old Spock in the Star Trek reboot movies. You can work in a couple of classic characters here and there and give them a guest shot. Bring back Jeffrey Combs. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. I'm not sure Keegan Delancey would work, though, because he's a little bit on the young side, I think. He's only 30 years old.
No, I mean, I can sort of see it because Qs are supposed to be ageless, and he's the actual, is he the son or the nephew of John Delancey?
Son.
So he's the actual son of the actual Q who played son of Q.
Yeah, which is one of the things that made those episodes so cool.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know if he's snarky enough to be Q. Q's got to have like a attitude and like a I can be an arrogant jerk even though I'm a darn nice guy once you get to know me kind of things.
All right. Well, that was the last actor on this list here, and I'm not sure if this is official, but we also have some information about the various changes that are going to be made in this new series. For example, apparently Worf is no longer going to be a Klingon orphan. Instead, he's going to be a disgraced exile because he's rejected violence and become a pacifist. That's quite a change in direction. For Worf, the Worf character.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking it's like Idris Elba makes an awesome badass, so you're gonna make him play somebody. Now he can do it. Don't get me wrong, dude's a great actor. He can do it. But it's a weird. Maybe they're just trying to respond to all the fan criticism that there was too much action and shoot 'em ups in the movies. That it's not it's supposed to be about peace. Maybe they're trying to do that and just have somebody who's got a. Because Klingons are violent, but he's going to be a I don't know. It's
I'm not sure based on what else I'm reading here, but I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That just seems odd to me. Like, are they changing it for the sake of change? Idris Elba can do it, but will it work for the show? I mean, I got no problems with the actor; he can do it. But
here's what's really interesting, and this is probably going to get a lot of people upset. Riker's no longer going to be Picard's first officer. Instead, it's going to be Jack Crusher. There might even be some sort of little unrequited love triangle going on between him and Picard and Beverly.
See, I think the love triangle thing is just like a part of the rumor. I mean, the blurb, the press release did say that he's going to be the new first officer. That. I mean, it sort of makes sense since they're trying to cast this as a younger version of the Next Generation, but get them all in the same place. And that was the story. Dr. Crusher and Picard kind of had a little thing. Nobody really said for sure whether it was before she married Jack or if it was after or whatever. But there was always that.
They did do that in the 7th season episode.
Well, they've always been close. Now. But
no, actually, he said he had those feelings even while Jack Crusher was alive. And that I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's the one where Picard and Dr. Crusher were linked together with those necklace things, and they could hear each other's thoughts.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. So, but I mean, so I could see that, but it's like the backstory for Picard in the original version of Next Generation was that Jack Crusher was his best friend and his subordinate, and Jack Crusher got killed under Picard's command.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was like an away mission gone bad or if that was part of the Stargazer battle.
Well, that's a good point. I don't know.
But, I mean, somebody out there knows. But that was the thing. It's like Picard got Jack Crusher killed, and part of the reason why he never hooked up with Dr. Crusher was the guilt of going after his best friend's girl, coupled with, did I really screw up, or did I screw up on purpose in order to make her single?
Which is the reason why he suppressed that for all those years until that episode where she found out how he really felt. But anyway,
so we're going to get to see character development for Captain Picard and Jack Crusher, and
that'll be interesting to see, I guess.
And I have a feeling they're going to kill him off. Well, I mean, why would you put Jack Crusher in the show? You know, they're gonna kill him off. I
I'm
don't
sure
know
there's
when.
definitely going to be some sort of drama going on there. But that's good.
I'm wondering if they're going to do like they did in Voyager, and he's only going to. Well, they're listing him as like a main cast member, so I can't see them doing that for somebody they're going to kill 10 minutes in.
Well, I mean, they did
But-
it for Yar in the original show, but yeah,
Yar made it through a whole season, though. I'm thinking
almost.
like, who was Janeway's first officer?
The original, I don't remember.
Not Chakotay, the original guy.
The original, I don't remember.
First time the bridge exploded, yeah, he's dead.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, that's the role I want in Star Trek. I want to be the guy with one line and dies, but I mean, nobody remembers him. But I think that's what they're going to. I'm worried that's what they're going to do with Jack Crusher. They're going to kill him off.
I really hope not. But anyway,
I mean, he's played by Alan Tudyk, and Alan Tudyk dies. That's what he does.
As the weeks progress, we'll get more information, I'm sure. We'll get these rumors either confirmed or denied. But we're starting to come short on time here, so let's continue on. Apparently, there will be no Wesley Crusher from what we're seeing.
If they're doing
Riker,
the younger story, that makes sense.
Yeah. Riker apparently is going to be a hotshot pilot, lieutenant commander, and apparently Jack Crusher's protege.
Okay, see, this is what's leading me to believe they're going to kill Jack Crusher off, and then have Riker have to live up to the legend that is the former XO and try to fill in his shoes.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, maybe they will. And so that's
they're going to kill off Alan Tudyk, and then Riker gets promoted to XO in his place. Kind of like when they quote unquote killed Picard, and then Riker took over as captain for one episode.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's happened a couple times, but anyway. All right, and then Tasha Yar is going to be apparently Picard's long lost daughter.
And this is when
she doesn't know it.
This is when we start getting into the stupid soap opera, human drama. Now, I didn't have a problem.
Well, Star Trek has always been a vehicle for human drama.
Yeah,
though.
But there's human drama, and then there's soap opera Dahmer. Having Tasha Yar actually be Picard's long lost daughter, he knows it and she doesn't, and he's like sheltering her career or sponsoring her or whatever.
This is daytime TV.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I was not bothered by the Spock Uhura thing too much because they still made Uhura pretty darn cool in the new movies.
So maybe this is a definite rumor here.
I mean, well, this is on the press release as a plot development, but I mean, it's like maybe they're going to, I'm hoping they scrap this and they decide it's a bad idea, and they might be feeding us bad rumors because, I mean, it's still a year to go until this is released. This could change. I hope it does because that's just dumb. And it screws up a whole, he's going to start dating Dr. Crusher after Jack Crusher dies thing. I mean,
yeah, and apparently they're also the Yar and Data are actually going to have some sort of relationship instead of just around.
Right. And Picard is going to be all like, "Oh my God, my daughter is dating a gay robot."
Now, is it because she's dating a robot and it's his daughter, or is he going to be all stiff because it's two of his senior officers fraternizing? I mean, Picard is still going to. I mean. I can't say Picard is still going to be Picard with the way they're changing things, but I mean, is it going to be I mean, if they work in the Borg later, it would make sense to make Picard some kind of anti-robot type. Anti-robot?
What?
A person who discriminates against robots?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if there's an
anti-robot.
Anti-robotite. I don't know what you would call it. But I mean, he did tend to.
Oh, Neo-Luddite.
Well, he's not anti-technology. He's just anti-robot.
Anti-robot. So it's okay as long as it's not robot shaped.
What do you think? Data's not going to be human shaped?
This guy, he's going to be all like tea, Lipton, hot.
Oh, they gotta still do Earl Grey tea. They're not going to. I mean, they got the guy.
Hope they don't.
They got the guy who played. They got the guy who played young Professor X playing young Picard. and Patrick Stewart played old Professor X. So maybe they're not gonna, because he did good in X-Men as Professor X.
Does he have a British accent?
Yeah, and I think it's a real one.
Wait. No, here's what they'll do. Here's what they'll do. The first episode, Q shows up and he's like, Earl Grey. And Picard's like, what's that?
Oh, jeez.
No. Well, anyway, that's pure speculation. And the last bit of information we do have here, although again, this is in the rumor mill, so we don't know the veracity of it, but it's basically that the ship won't have a saucer separation. Instead, it'll have sort of a combat mode. So the saucer will split into two saucers, and between them is like a souped-up weapons arsenal. And and apparently so this will be like a more of an action-oriented show, perhaps. I don't know.
See, that's
arm the photonic cannon.
Geez, yeah, that. God, they're probably going to call it that too, aren't they? This is the thing that gets me. I mean, it's like, yeah, you kind of expect more action since they're doing this in the reboot style. So I would not be surprised if that's what we're going to see. The Enterprise is basically a giant transformer that turns into a cannon now.
I mean, this is, after all, hot on the heels. Well, not hot necessarily, but on the heels of the two, heavily action-oriented movies from J.J. Abrams.
And by the time this comes out, there'll be 3 movies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would make sense they're going to go more action. And honestly, I mean, saucer separation was really cool and part of what made Enterprise D, but they only used it like 4 times.
I know, right? It's like, your ship can do all this kind of stuff. Why aren't you using it all the time?
Well, I mean, all the Enterprises also had the captain's yacht, but they only used that once in one movie.
Yeah, so...
What? They did?
Yeah.
What is this? Which movie was this?
That would not Nemesis, Insurrection. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Insurrection. Picard stole the captain's yacht to violate orders and go AWOL.
And it's always on the bottom of the saucer.
He stole his own yacht?
Yeah.
Pretty much, because he was ordered to leave and not come back and all that. And he decided, no, I'm going to stay and intervene.
So, yeah, I can kind of see, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what makes the Enterprise, at least for the next generation. They never did it, but it could do it. They did it a couple of times. When I first saw the next generation, when I first... I was 5 minutes late to watching the first episode. So
yes, I remember the story.
It's one of my favorite stories. So the first time I saw the Enterprise, it didn't have the saucer attached.
No, that wouldn't be 5 minutes. That would be like halfway into the episode, like 45 minutes.
It was like 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh,
it didn't take them very long to separate the first time because they hadn't even picked up Riker yet.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's like as soon as the episode starts, they run into Q on their way to the planet. And they separate. It's like, I missed that. So all I see is the ship in orbit, great big body, dinky little tiny saucer on top. And I'm sitting there thinking, what did they do to my ship? And I hated it. I thought it was ugly.
Well, when it was in orbit of the planet, that was halfway in, but...
So then they go and they reattach, and it's like, okay, that looks a whole lot better. So everybody hated on the saucer. Oh, the saucer's too big and too wide. It's not the right shape. People hated the design of the Enterprise D. I loved it because when I first saw it, it was horrible. So I'm not overly upset about losing the saucer separation. But at the same time, this whole stupid... it's like it makes me think of those the siege tanks from Warcraft. StarCraft. StarCraft siege tank. It's a regular old tank, and then it stops, and it drops down the braces to hold it in place, and the barrel splits open to reveal this enormous, even bigger barrel, and that's your long-range artillery piece. That's what they've done. Right. That's what they've done to the Enterprise. They're turning it into a freaking siege cannon, siege tank.
Right.
So
inside of our little gun is an even bigger gun because the NRA is sponsoring this show.
See, I don't have a problem with action. You need good conflict to tell good stories, but the way they're trying to mix this action with this character drama, and it's all like soap opera crap.
Yes, we must have mindless gun faces.
Yeah. I just
Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be a fun show to watch, just like the last two movies were.
I'm gonna tune in. See, I actually liked the last two movies. Into Darkness, not so much.
That's what I mean.
The 09 movie I enjoyed. And I tended to think of myself as a TOS guy more than a TNG guy. But then you hear about all these changes, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, what are they doing? But then I think of the other shows that CW is doing, because they haven't just rebooted Star Trek. They did the Green Arrow thing, and that came out looking pretty cool. They did The Flash, and that came out looking pretty cool. They've got that new show I just watched the other night called iZombie.
Oh no, not another zombie thing.
No,
I'm so sick of zombies.
This one's actually pretty clever. She's a zombie, but she's still a talker, and she works in the city morgue, and that's where she gets her brain supply from. And because she works for the ME, she's helping the cops solve crimes. So it's like a cross between Warm Bodies and Veronica Mars.
Wait, the zombie solves the crimes?
Yeah, she works in the ME's office. She's the coroner, the medical examiner, and she does that thing where if she eats the brain, she gets the memory. So she knows.
So basically, it's zombies Scooby-Dooified.
Yeah, and it's well done. I mean, she eats the brain. She knows who the killer was because she sees the last memories of the person whose brain she eats, and then all she's got to do is find the evidence to prove they're actually the killer. I mean, yeah, zombies are getting overplayed, but it's an interesting take on the whole zombie thing.
Okay, well, if George Romero himself came out with another zombie movie, I might watch it then, but not in the theater. But other than that, I'm about fed up with zombies. I'm gonna have to look back at it in 10 years. And
I mean,
see what I was missing. I guess
I know I'm drifting as far afield, but the point is, the CW does these things and makes changes, and they come out all right generally. I mean, Smallville wasn't bad. I enjoyed that. So I'm trying.
Now they're doing Gotham, which is basically Smallville for Batman.
And I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard it's good. But I'm saying
it is. I watch it. It's really great.
I mean, part of me wants to be down on this as a bad idea. They're changing too much stuff. But part of me's thinking they're actually going to pull it off, and it might actually be a good Star Trek. This is going to be the Dark Knight of Star Trek series. It's not the Star Trek we want. It's the Star Trek we deserve.
Oh, no, don't do that again, please.
As long as they don't change the shirt colors around again, because that is freaking confusing. That's probably what they're going to do. They're probably going to make Command be blue, Security be yellow, and Science be red, because screw you, Memory Alpha.
Did we get any uniform pictures yet, or not yet?
No, we haven't seen any pictures yet. Actually, just this information.
We don't know what the uniforms are going to look like. That would be interesting to see, because I don't know if they'd mess with the colors. At worst, they might just put it back to make it match the movie colors, where Command is yellow and Tactical is red.
Yeah,
or they'll just add pink.
Yeah, I've been seeing that go around lately. A lot of photoshopped Star Trek TOS images with pink shirts instead of. I don't get it. Am I missing something? Is this a blue dress, white dress thing that I'm just not catching up on because I'm not hip to the trends?
News to me. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up then. We don't really have any more information on this as of yet, but maybe, hopefully soon, we'll get some more out from the rumor mill.
Right, and in the meantime, next week we will discuss Michael Bay's Lost in Space reboot.
Sadly, I think I actually heard that's happening. No. I mean, you guys don't do other stuff as much as I do, but no, seriously, it's like they're talking about J.J. Abrams collaborating with Michael Bay to make Lost in Space. This could just be like a super early rumor, but
Right. Well, I heard Tim Burton's doing a Babylon 5 reboot.
I tell you what I want to see. I want to see a Tim Burton Wizard of Oz. I think that would look pretty sweet.
All right. Well, like I said, that's probably about all we've got here in the information on it, but we'll try and get some more out as it comes in and give you our thoughts on it as well. But for now, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So take us out, Bill.
Thank you for checking out Trekosophy this week. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out in the iTunes Store and Google Play.
Google Play doesn't really have a podcast section, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You pretty much just use your RSS reader of choice to find this.
Okay. Yeah, use your Use your RSS reader of choice to find us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, email us at trekosophy@gmail.com. We're trying to get more on top of the rumor mill and what's coming down, because next year is going to be huge for Star Trek. And since we are the guys...
We got to show up those Doctor Who stuck-up British people.
Yeah, we do. We will. But since we're the guys who decided our podcast was going to be the Philosophy Star Trek podcast, we're going to have to be the ones that try to make sure that we stay the course, and we're going to have to find the philosophy in all the action. I think we can do it. So stick with us. There's going to be all sorts of cool stuff. Yes, we're still going to talk about the old stuff we all know and love, but when the 50th comes around, we're all going to have so much fun with what's coming. So thank you for listening. I'd like to thank our hosts for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. I did not have sexual relations with that android. My wife is mad at me now. Thank you for making me say Megan Fox's Troy where she could hear it. She's like, oh. She said, hell no, it's not even close to right. So guys, do not mention that we're casting Dave Chappelle as Geordi.
Whoops.
Oh, Dave Chappelle as Geordi, she has no problems with. Megan Fox as Troy, she's all, hell no.
Okay.
J.J. Abrams and Michael Bay are collaborating on a Lost in Space movie. Every explosion is a giant lens flare. I am not a crook.
Which was that Joseph Mengele episode.
Yeah, we do need to do the Mengele episode at some point.
And is it right
Mengele
to
was
use
the Nazi quote doctor unquote, right?
Yeah.
I guess I actually don't know anything about Mengele except the name. That's all.
Well, I think if I remember the guy from history, it goes with the name really, really well. I mean, how could history have produced a better name for the guy? I mean, it just really fits, you know?
Like Mangle, you mean?
Yeah, Mingle the Mangler, or they could call him that, you know?
What is he, a doctor or a wrestler? I'm still terrified the next Star Trek series is going to be Star Trek CSI.